Well, happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, July 21st in the year 2026, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. In the film and television business in Los Angeles, or Hollywood as some people call it, there are all kinds of stories of actors who have lucky breaks and managed to have a career as a working actor. There are very few, at least I met very few, from the state of Alabama. Matter of fact, there were so few when I started, my calling card for people was, I'm from Alabama. My friend Sturfon from Montgomery would kid me about my saying I'm from Alabama. And one night, Sturfon invited me to go to a party with him, and the party was hosted by Alfre Woodard for her husband, Roger. We went to that party. There were several stars in attendance. It was a fun evening. At one point, Alfre, who I was lucky enough to work with in Miss Evers' Boys, came over to me and said she had someone she wanted me to meet. Okay, I agreed, and she led me across the room. When we got closer to the person she wanted me to meet, I recognized him, but not from television and film, but from Auburn University. I said, I know him. He looked at me and he said, I know him. We'd been in school in the same years and now lived maybe 5 miles from each other in Los Angeles. That turned out to be a fun evening. And my relationship with Michael has continued to grow. We even did a 2-man show at our alma mater called Alabama Boys. I'm proud to say that Michael O'Neill is our G-list guest today. And he's not only an actor and friend, but someone who's willing to meet us, I hope, at 6 o'clock a.m. in Los Angeles time. So thank you, Michael. We look forward to that conversation. Our show today, of course, is brought to you by the consulting firm of Best Girl League. Let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Continues to customize the solution that fits your needs. So let's go to the round table and see what they've got to say today. We got Barbara, the two Barbaras, and Michael. Good morning, Barbara, one of you. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, thank you. What's happening in your world?
Well, Tom, I want to first say happy birthday to our very own Santa Claus, Nathaniel Rutledge. Nathaniel will be turning the big 6-0 tomorrow, and he had a big birthday celebration over the weekend. It was a fabulous event. And so happy birthday, Chief Santa, as we know him. So I want to start with that. But I also wanted to mention, they renamed the Palm Beach International Airport after the one who's sitting government housing in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And United Airlines has done something very interesting. They're offering travelers a free flight change. If they were scheduled to arrive at the previously known Palm Beach International Airport, they can now change their flight to fly into Fort Lauderdale or Miami at no additional cost. So I applaud United for doing that, because some customers are having a really tough time with that. They don't like the fact that name was changed, and so they didn't want to fly into that particular airport. Want to get y'all's thoughts on that, because again, I was very proud of United, and the other airlines may be doing the same thing, but I did read that about United making that change.
That's pretty interesting. So United Airlines are offering free flight changes to fly to another airport rather than the airport formerly known as Palm Beach International Airport.
Absolutely. They said that they had gotten so much flack from travelers, from their customers. People were writing in, putting information on their website and their social media saying that they refused to fly in there. They were not going to fly United at all. They changed to another airline if they needed to, but they did not want to fly into that particular airport. And so the airline made that decision that they would allow them to make a flight change at no additional cost. They normally would charge that a fee for that, and so they're now allowing them to make that change at no additional cost.
That's interesting. I guess the part that I don't quite understand, if I'm scheduled to fly into that airport and it makes it more sense for me to fly in that airport, I'm going to change and fly into another airport, and then I guess I had to rent a car and then drive to my destination that would have been close.
Rent a car, take a shuttle, or have someone pick you up. Yeah, but I think there's like a 42-mile distance to, I think, Fort Lauderdale, and maybe 72 to Miami. 72 miles difference. So they're saying they're willing to make that that sacrifice and make that change. So they said a lot of the customers are taking advantage of that that allowance.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Well,
very much.
Well, I think when National Airport in Washington, D.C. took on the Reagan name, there was, I don't think there were those kinds of changes, but I know there was a lot of conversation about National Airport being named for Ronald Reagan. Because, again, people had a lot of um, concerns about his leadership and what he had done as a president.
Right.
Um, so, but I'm glad to hear that too, Barbara. That warms my heart.
Yeah, and most airports, if they're changed to the name of a former president, is usually after they're deceased or
Right.
definitely after they're out of office. So this is the first time that an airport's name has changed to the current president's name, um, in our lifetime, anyway, that we know of. So it's interesting.
It is. It
I'm sure it's
is.
something that he initiated. As Tom, we were talking earlier, he just wants to be in the limelight. It can be negative press. It doesn't matter to him, I don't think, as long as his name is in the
Mm,
conversation somewhere.
yeah, I
And as
agree.
long as y'all keep talking about him, he's gonna keep doing it.
Of course it will. And we keep talking about it because it's just so ridiculous.
It is,
You are
we
so
just
right.
every day I say that, what more could he do possibly do that would upset people, but he always finds a way to do something else.
He specializes in
He
that.
specializes in it. You're right.
Yeah. I wanted to know if you had noticed that Al Sharpton and the King family are going to celebrate, well, are going to have a march on Washington for 2026. It's going to be August the 28th in Washington, D.C., and it's set to occur on the anniversary of the famous Civil Rights March. Um, and it's going to be in protest of the recent Supreme Court decision to change a portion of the Voting Rights Act, which, of course, practically guts the districts that are predominantly black districts that where we would have representation based on our votes. So this is going to happen August the 28th, and Reverend Sharpton and the King family are going to be a part of it. There are going to be many. I think there are 24, at least 24 organizations that are going to be participating, and they're saying that this is to defend the vote, because of course the vote is the foundation of our democracy. And as we look at our history, we know that many people were murdered and slaughtered when people were beginning to register to vote in Mississippi, Alabama, all of the southern states, and some of the northern states too. And so people paid with their very lives for us to be able to vote and be able to have a say-so in the democracy of this country. So keep that in mind. I believe that's August the 28th, and we should be hearing more about that as time comes along. Also, they're saying that it's also to in protest of the SAVE Act. And of course, the SAVE Act does a couple of things. It disproportionately affects women, because if your name does not appear on your birth certificate as it does on your ID, then and you are not registered under your married name, then you have to bring extra documentation to prove who you are. A passport, a birth certificate, those are the things that they're going to be requiring. So this disproportionately affects women, people of color, and many other groups as well. So this is going to be, I hope that it will be heavily attended and that it will be successful.
Well, I know there's a lot of stuff about the Voting Rights Act and what's going on and stuff. There's one person that's running for governor that really didn't understand it, but I will have to agree that it does kind of causes some confusion. I will say that the president in his speech the other week, as he was talking about the Secure America Act or Save the Vote, whatever he's calling it, that he mentioned 200 and something thousand people that were registered to vote illegally or something like that. I know here in the state of Georgia, when you go in to get your driver's license, whether it's new or renew it, they automatically register you to vote. Mm-hmm. So that's where some of this population he's talking about that are not citizens, but they just do that automatically for everybody to be able to vote. But then when you go to the voting place, you have to then have the proper documentation. So that's not necessarily an end all be all or accurate statement where he talks about that. There's a little bit confusion, at least they're here in Georgia.
Mm-hmm. But Michael, when you go get your driver's license, I know I had to take ID with me. You don't have to take proper documentation in order to get your driver's license?
Well, in Georgia, they give people like a state issued ID or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Or you have like, if you have authorization to be here too, in order to work on a visa, you have to get your driver's license. So you have that, in other words. You don't necessarily have that. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But then they catch it on the back end. So it's not like somebody's slipping through.
Right. Exactly. So you have other checks, way to check to make sure people are who they say they are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I got something to talk to you guys about. You guys have heard about living off the grid, right? Where these people that go off and they want to disconnect from society and live off the grid. And it's kind of interesting that there's a lot of things going on with the national parks and stuff. We saw the grandfather that was hit with the bison and thrown up in the air. As a matter of fact, he was on the news this morning. He broke his leg in 4 different places and stuff, but he is recovering. But leading into my story here, there's a gentleman by the name of, I think his last name is Mark Aaron Gatz, 65. He just pleaded to a violation of fire restriction and residential use of the forest without a permit. What he had done is he had lived in a U.S. national forest in Arizona for over 8 years. And when it was discovered, he had also created over 1,000 pounds of trash in the area that he's lived. Officers found him about a half mile into an unmarked trail in the Tonto National Forest on June 25th. And forest visitors had filed complaints about several large structures and several years worth of trash. And in the previous citation in May, an officer observed 1,000 pounds of trash, including tires, plastic bags, trash bags, aluminum cans, and other items. I'm just wondering, how did he have all these tires back in there? Because it's not necessarily an area where you drive cars and stuff, but to be living there for 8 years and destroying a national park. So he's getting off with time served and 3 years of probation, but it was roughly a half an acre of resources that were ruined because of this man living there for 8 years.
So are they going to?
He built a structure there? I mean, he actually built a home?
Out of tires?
Yeah, a place to protect him from the climate.
Well,
So he's not paying any property tax. He's not paying any kind of tax
well,
of anything.
is part of his punishment going to be he has to restore that area that he destroyed? Are they going to make him clean it up? That's my question. I mean,
Well,
will he pay his back taxes? I mean, come on, let's get a benefit out of this.
Undoubtedly, he wasn't making any money living, off the grid back there. That's really strange.
well, it's saying
But
part of it
rent free, he's
he
rent
was
free.
building a campfire during fire season, unsanitary conditions around the camp, and building a structure on national forest lands and digging holes into the land. So he just set up shop there and claimed him an estate in the national
Yes,
forest in Arizona.
Rent free,
Yes.
rent free. That's right.
rent free.
No expenses whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
So
he was living
he
off.
needs
The,
to
he was
clean it
living
up
off the
and
land, huh?
our land.
Yes.
I mean, he's
Why?
out there, man. That just think about that person's mentality to live out there in the national forest in Arizona for 8 years like that.
So my question would be, what did he eat? Did he um, kill
Yeah.
the rabbits, the squirrels, the birds, the quails, whatever was out there in order to eat? You know, he needs to pay for his food.
Well, I mean, if he had tires, undoubtedly he had transportation back there. So maybe he was going in and out and going to the grocery store or something and returning. Yeah,
But
that's just
yeah,
really strange.
but he had to
Yeah,
have money to go to the grocery store unless he had
well,
some
that's
sort of
true.
assistance from the government. But he had to have a P.O. box or a residence address or something.
Well, he was 65 years old, but I guess he's been living there 8 years. So he could have been on Social Security or we don't know. I guess we don't
Hmm.
know exactly what's going on, or who knows. He could have lived a prominent life before that and had money saved up. But that's really interesting,
That's kind
Michael.
of strange.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
It
Thank you for
is.
bringing that story. Yes, very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my.
Mm.
Okay, anybody got anything else?
Well, I wanted to say that in Hoover we have, and I'm sure in other cities too, we have
Hoover,
these
Alabama, right?
Hoover, Alabama. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, got to put that on there. Absolutely, Tom. Thanks. Um, in Hoover, Alabama, we have these structures, especially at the libraries, where it's like a little hut where you can go and you can put rice, canned goods, and foods for people who need to have food. And I was reading an article about a smaller scale community of refrigerators. They have actually put refrigerators out running with electricity to keep the food cold, where people can leave or take food, no questions asked. And they're run entirely by volunteers, and they're popping up. They seem to be popping up everywhere. It's what they call a quiet revolution of people just helping each other. No bureaucracy, no means. That means no testing, just here, have some food if you need it. And we hope the stuff will be used by the people who are grabbing it. And that is hopefully will solve some of the problems that people are seeing now that food prices have gone through the roof. Gasoline is still high. So this is another means, but with refrigeration.
That's great. That's good to hear. And I've
Yeah.
gone by that location at the library, Barbara, and I've seen people actually leaving food there and gone other times, and people actually taking food from there. So it is
Hmm.
something that's definitely needed in the community. You just can't imagine how many people are suffering right now with the grocery prices increasing, and people are already struggling to survive. They need that, and I volunteer at food ministries and food distribution
Yes.
sites quite often, and the lines are long. There are people who wait in line 2 and 3 hours just to get a box of free food because they're struggling with finding food or buying food for their families.
Yeah. And, I've seen people put in a 5 pound bag of rice in that particular location at Hoover. And when you go in, you see it going in. By the time you come out of the library, the 5 pounds
It's
is gone.
gone.
So people are really, really
Hmm.
needing this food. So if you got a few extra cans of canned goods, rice, beans, please, people are in need of food.
Yes.
That's good to keep in mind, especially given where we are right now with the economy and what's
Right.
going on in the world. Um, you know, if any of you have ever had teenagers, you know how difficult it is to keep them fed, you know, and they're always hungry. Teenagers have a
Especially boys.
unending, yeah, an unending appetite. And just
Right.
imagine if you had a 15-year-old son that was 7'6", how would you feed him?
Right.
We
Right.
would have to
And
have a
especially during the
garden.
summertime, we right.
You
And
have
we
to
think
work that
about
garden.
don't really think about this, but children at least during the school year, they know they're going to get at least one nutritious meal a day with lunch at school. But during the summers, they don't have that, and so many people forget about the fact that that's an added burden on the family to have to provide now lunch for a household, especially when, again, if you had growing boys in your home or teenagers, they can actually eat a lot, and it
And
adds
they
to the
Well,
do.
grocery bills.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I will say that in Georgia, they are keeping a lot of the summer programs going where they actually have a bus that goes through neighborhoods and stop
Mm-hmm.
at the kids' houses where they, as if they were going to school, and they give them lunch
Mm-hmm.
because that would be the only food that they would get. So
Mhm.
That's
um,
great. That is
there
great.
is a there's a guy that's 15 years old in Canada named Jeremy Gauthier. He's 7'6", and they are saying that he is going to be the Wimby stopper, and he's only 15. So, can you imagine that? And because you don't stop growing usually at 15, I think you grow
Right.
until 17 or something. But right now, and they have pictures of him playing in his under 15 league, and he's standing there above everybody else. As a matter of fact,
Every
at this height right now, at 7'6", at 15, he is taller than every NBA player imaginable right now.
Wow.
And he may continue to grow. And he's from Canada. And so Canada most recently has been putting out these really tall players now. And this guy is a little bit agile. So you'll be hearing about him real soon. They already talking about him going to the NBA, but you got to be 19 to go to the NBA. So
Hmm.
there's about 4 years left for him.
That's great.
Okay.
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing.
Anything
Yes.
else?
I have an article that by Earl Hutchinson. And the question that is the title of his article is, why are so many unhoused, mentally challenged white men on South LA streets? Why are they on South LA streets? And what we found is that, and I think this is something that I have been talking about verbally with friends for quite some time, is that the same reasons that these young men are unemployed are the same reasons that young men of color are unemployed: lack of jobs, education. Some have mental illness, drug, alcohol addiction, and they're in deeply impoverished areas. But you probably hear that there are more African Americans who are in poverty than any other group in the United States. And percentage wise, that's true. But when you look at the raw numbers, my statement has always been the raw numbers show, because it's more of of citizens who are non-black than there are who are black. Actually, there are more of them that are in poverty. And this journalist goes to the census and he says raw numbers, census figures on poverty consistently show that the majority of men in poverty are white. They are either marginally skilled, unskilled, or have not attended college. And that's a reality that has always been true, but very seldom has it been printed. So hats off to Earl Hutchinson for at least showing us the truth in raw numbers.
All right. Well, let me say good morning to all the people in the chat, and a special good morning to Antley. Antley, I see you took the job. So Antley's got a new job. He starts August the 1st. He's going to work for the sheriff department. Antley, I think I got this right. I think you're working for the sheriff department in Covington, Georgia. which is where In the Heat of the Night was shot. So um, once the series
Congratulations,
wrapped, I
Antley.
guess Antley couldn't get enough, so he got him a job over there.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Antley.
Good for
Good for
Yes,
you.
him.
indeed, Antley.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay, well, let's move
Yes. So
on.
he'll be
Hollywood's
relocating.
got the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Tom, we have the G list. And our G list guest today is my good friend and actor, Michael O'Neill. He's built a career over the last 5 decades in such television shows and movies as The West Wing, Dallas Buyers Club, Transformers, Seabiscuit, and Alabama Boys. So let's welcome Michael O'Neill. Good morning, Michael. Uh-oh.
He's there. Hopefully he's there.
Sean to the rescue. Okay, I'm sure they're working on it.
Cool.
We can move ahead. I'll tell you, Michael has been in the TV and film business for longer than I have. He is a prolific actor, does a lot of good work, and we did Alabama Boys on the campus of Auburn University, which was a lot of fun. I assume we're having some issues here, so why don't we have Sean come on and do her Got a Minute, and then we'll see if we can get Michael back on after that. So I'm sure Sean's working on it. So Sean, can you do Got a Minute in the meantime or not? Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. Wait a minute. I got something here. They're having a conversation, so
Okay.
we will. Let's see. What else has we got going on here? We can't do Got a Minute until Sean can come back on, and we'll do Got a Minute. But we'll, other than that, we will just move on. I'll tell you guys a great story that I was going to use at the closing. It's a story about MJ, two MJs, Michael Jackson and Magic Johnson. And Magic Johnson said he got a phone call, and the person on the other end of the call said they were Michael Jackson. So Magic said he hung up. Whoever it was called back again, said it was Michael Jackson. Magic hung up again. And so Magic calls Jermaine, Michael's brother, because he and Jermaine were good friends. And he says, man, somebody keeps calling me saying they're Michael Jackson. And I'm hanging up on them because I know Michael Jackson's not calling me. And Jermaine said, no, it is Michael. He wants you to do something for him. And so and Magic said, okay, well, sorry. So he called him back. And Michael invited him over for a meal. And so Magic said, he was all excited. He was going to go over there. He was friends with Jermaine, but he didn't know Michael well. And so he said he stopped. Michael told him they were going to, to pick him up whatever he wanted to eat. So he said he stopped and got some rotisserie chicken. He didn't want to get fried chicken because he thought that was a little too ghetto-ish. And so he got rotisserie chicken. And he shows up at Michael Jackson's house, and they're sitting at opposite ends of the table. And Michael pulls out a box of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Magic said, he said, oh, hell, I got to eat this rotisserie chicken.
You didn't want to eat that either.
He got up and went and bought some Kentucky Fried Chicken. and came back. And he and Michael had a great visit. And he said that he invited Michael to come to a Lakers game. And Michael told him he would love to, but he just didn't think he could come to the game and enjoy it with all the people wanting to talk to him and shake his hand and this and that and so on and so forth. And Magic said, well, no, you asked me to do something for you, and I'm going to do it, whatever that favor was. And so I need you to come to the game. And so Michael ended up going to the game, and he was absolutely right. He never got to watch the game for all the people who were coming up trying to talk to him and so on and so forth. So Sean says that Michael O is ready now. So Sean, if you can patch him in, that'd be fine. That'd be great.
Oh, there he is. We can't hear you.
Close. There he is. What's up, Michael O? We can't hear him now. We can see you.
No.
He's working on it.
Well, Sean's working on it, I'm sure.
She's working on it. She's working on it.
It's too early out there. That's what it is, huh?
Yes.
It's 5 o'clock.
I know.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
sorry, man. I'm sorry. Oh, Sean, we can't hear him. I don't know what's going on.
Well, Tom, if you want me to, I can do a brief, while we're waiting, I could do a brief book review right quick.
No, let's leave this.
Okay.
One
All
second.
right.
Michael, I'm sorry, man. We're
It's okay.
we're
Just-
having-
There we got it.
We hear you. We hear you. We hear you now,
Awesome.
Michael.
Yes.
Yes, we hear you.
Three illegal precision penalties in a row, and I was back 15 yards, and I thought I'd gotten back to the line of scrimmage, and clearly I didn't. I don't know.
We hear you now.
Is it because I'm older that technology has gotten more complicated? Is that what's happening here? And they want me to learn about AI.
That's coming next.
What's
It's
up
coming.
with that?
It's coming.
Oh man, how you doing this morning, brother?
Sorry, say that again.
How you doing this morning?
You you want to know the truth? It's too early to tell.
Yeah.
I got up at 4:45. I'm like, okay. I'm supposed to be somewhere.
Well, we have to remember that when we have somebody from the West Coast, that that time thing is a big deal. So we appreciate you being with us, man. How's everything going?
You know what, Tom? I've said this before. I'm gonna say it again. If I complained, I'd be ungrateful. But things are okay. There's not a whole lot to report in terms of new activity in quote unquote Hollywood. It's still trying to find its true north here. You know, the industry out here is kind of reorganizing itself around all this technology and who's bought who and what studio is trying to merge with what studio. So there's not a lot being produced right now. It's still, everybody's trying to keep their powder dry, I guess. I've been at this a long time. This is the worst I've ever seen.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. I told them the story about the night Alfred introduced us. We both
Wait a
said,
minute.
"Oh, I know him."
I've been watching him for years.
Yeah, that was fun. I said I used to see him walking across the quad there from class. So, because I think you were involved in the SGA, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that aspect of Auburn a lot. I learned a lot. That's probably where I got my degree in terms of just, learning how to be responsible for something and work with people and compromise and not compromise and.
Why don't you tell us? And I know, but how you got started in the business?
a lucky accident. I've been trying to write a little bit, Tom, and I call it the path to luck. The path to luck, because I was probably one of the luckiest guys I know. Still am, really. But you know, I had an economics degree, and I'd never been on stage in my life. And I wrote an address, and the address got sent around, and a character actor in Los Angeles heard it and called me. It was Will Gear. It was the grandfather on the Waltons.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, son, I think you should try acting before the corporate structure snaps you up. And I said, I don't know anything about it. He said, well, come to California. We'll work with you. And I said, can I call you back? And I felt a little bit like the Magic Michael story, Tom.
Right.
Who is this? What's this about? But anyway, you know, it was an interesting time in the South in that period, and Vietnam was winding down. That's where I thought I was going to be going after Auburn, and they were backing us up. They were taking people out. Thank God.
Yeah.
So they didn't want me, basically.
I got a high lottery number. You know, they went to the lottery. I think my number was 219 or something. They never got above 120, 130 or what have you. Yeah. So I didn't have to go. But I will tell you, I knew one person who I was very close to who got his number was 1. And he said, what are we going to do? I said, well, why don't you go over there and see Coach Jordan, see if he can help you out. He knows everybody in the state. And we went over to see Coach Jordan, and we never saw it again.
Wow. Those were the days. Those were days, right? When they had that
kind
of power.
Yeah.
Mine was 63, Tom.
Wow.
Was it?
And,
man.
And they got to 59.
Wow.
And you remember they would roll over after it hit a certain date. They would add 365. And mine got to 59, and then they added 365 to it. And I sat there and watched that number every day at the draft board. But once I wasn't going into the military, I got my car and drove to California. And I didn't know. I'll be honest with you. I hate to admit this, guys. I didn't know where Hollywood was. You know, never been. No reason to look for it on a map.
Right.
And so when I got there, I was like, wow, this is big. And it said get off at Sunset Boulevard, but that's about 15. Sunset Boulevard ranges so far east. I got off about 8 miles from where I was going. And,
it's
I think I didn't become an actor. I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
No. I was going to ask anybody got questions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I was going to ask you about how did you get from Alabama to LA? Because I know you had gone up to New York, I think, because you were going to do some stage acting and stuff. And then you ended up to LA. So how did that New York thing play into the LA?
You know what? It's actually the reverse. Mike, I went to LA first. And I went there because that's where Mr. Gear was. And he had a little theater, a little Shakespearean rep out in Topanga Canyon that his daughter Ellen ran. And she was really my first teacher. It was Ellen that helped me. But I realized after a few years that if I wanted to do that as a profession and make a living, I needed to train. And that's when I went to New York. And, part of that training was doing little off Broadway plays or whatever you could get into, honestly. And then I went to school back there at the neighborhood playhouse and worked with a man named Bill Esper. But I didn't become an actor until somebody said, you can't do this. They basically said, going back to Alabama, son, you're not going to be able to do this. And it made me mad. I thought, you don't know me well enough to tell me what I can and can't do. And I think that's when the canvas was struck.
Wow. Wow. Interesting. I saw some of your credits in the Secondhand Lion. I wasn't familiar with that and stuff. And I saw that. I said, well, I didn't know about this. So I need to ask you about the Secondhand Lion. Tell me about it and that house and the property that you guys were on. Was that a made up set or did you actually find a house that looked like that you could film it? And if so, where was it?
We were outside of Austin, Texas. And just northeast of Austin, out in the country, and we found that house. or the locations manager found that house. And it's funny because the studio wanted to move everything to Canada. And the director said, "Oh, no, we're not doing that." And they said, "Oh, yes, we are." And he said, "You don't understand. Texas is a character in this film." And that's why he put a stake in the ground, and we stayed there and shot it right outside of Austin. Not in hill country, the other direction, but yeah, it was an unbelievable, location, sitting on that old porch with those two guys. It's one of the highlights of my career for me, getting to work with Bobby Duvall and Michael Caine, and they were, I went to school,
Yeah.
and they were, they were the gold standard for character actors. They were the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to play with them a little bit.
That's great.
It's an incredible story.
Michael,
if you've not seen the film,
yes.
it's a gotcha film. It's one of those films where you tune in and you'll watch it until the end. You can't help it. Hey, Barbara, can
Michael,
I
I
tell you
know.
something? Barbara Pitts.
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning. It's lovely.
Good morning to you.
But
Good to see you.
Thank you. The last time I saw you,
Yes.
we were at the advisors
On
meeting
Smith.
at the Jewel.
Yes.
And you said to me, if you can get to Tuscaloosa, go by the church. I think your father preached. Am I right about that?
Yes. First African Baptist Church.
I went to see it, Barbara.
Did you?
It's a beautiful, beautiful
Isn't
building. Now there was nobody to let me inside, unfortunately. I really wanted to see the sanctuary.
Yes.
But I walked all the way around it. I think people got a little nervous. They're like, "What's he doing out there?" But it's I'm so glad you told me about it.
Well, I wish I'd known. I would have driven down and made sure someone would come and open the church so you could go in. I can send you photographs because the inside is absolutely stunning.
I bet
It really is. Yeah. Those stained glass windows have a long history that we'll talk about at some point in time.
Okay.
Maybe when you come back to Birmingham, since I live in Hoover, I'm just a short distance away. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
So
love to see it.
thank you for bringing that up because I was going to say, how are you doing since we last met at the Jewel?
Good.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
can tell you're a busy man. I mean,
well, I'm busy doing what my wife tells me to do.
that's important.
Yes.
That's important. Yeah.
And she's kind of a taskmaster around here. I didn't know there were so many projects that you have to take care of.
Well, you know what, Michael? Stay working because once you retire, all of those things you've been putting on the back burner are now on the front burner, and you're busier at home than you've ever been before. So stay working.
All right. I'm going to do my
Yes.
best. That'll be my happy place.
And just let me say this. One of my favorite films that you made was Seabiscuit. I love that. I really, really enjoyed that. It was a very, very so many lessons in that. And let me just ask one question here, and then I'm going to let everybody else. But I just wanted to go back to Ellen and Will Geer because I had to look Will Geer up. I didn't know who he was, and then said, "Oh, he was the Grandpa Zeb on the Waltons."
Yes.
But obviously, you were learning some life lessons with Ellen and Will Geer at the same time you were learning life lessons about acting. Can you just share maybe one or two of those lessons that have stayed with you throughout your career that you learned from Ellen and or Will?
Yes. And thank you for asking that because they were remarkable life teachers. I felt like I got a PhD in many respects, working with them. Ellen was interesting in that she had been the original ingenue for Tyrone Guthrie at the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis, the very first regional theater in the country. And there are people now who really want to speak with her because she's the last living person that actually worked with Mr. Guthrie.
Wow.
So the repertoire of the information and knowledge that she has, both about him personally and his directing style, which was pretty irreverent by all accounts. So I learned. I didn't even know what I was learning. There was so much information being passed, by the spoken word and by the unspoken word. And Will had been such an activist and was so curious about things in life. And I think that's the biggest thing I learned from him was a curiosity. Just, maintain your curiosity about things and you won't get old is basically what he was saying. But the tenacity that they both had, I mean, to have a theater, to try to run a theater in anywhere in this country right now, they're all, a lot of our regional theaters spent the last year or so dark. They would only have one or two productions because people didn't come back after COVID. But that's not what you asked. There was a style of work in terms of Will had done virtually everything from Doc Bart's Riverboat Show to Chautauqua Tours, Big Top Tents, silent films, national repertory companies. He was in the original production of Mice and Men on Broadway, did Intruder in the Dust. A lot of, he worked with William Faulkner several times. So he was kind of a walking history of the last 75 years of theater. At that time, I joined him in 1970 or 74 is when I landed in Los Angeles, right? And there was really nobody like him, but it was a style of work that wasn't TV and film. And I was curious about that, which is why, Mike, I went on to New York to try to train. I thought I was better suited for that than I was the presentation of the theater. But I recently took a class with Ellen on Shakespeare monologues after 50 years. I've been here for 50 years and I learned so much from her all over again. But anyway, I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does.
Mostly to have a reverence for life and don't stop. Just keep going.
Thank you.
And Michael, I know you've appeared in over 130. Good morning, Michael. I know you've appeared in over 130 shows and movies. Do you have a favorite character, a favorite show or movie that you were in?
Well, my favorite movie that I was in was Seabiscuit. For a number of reasons.
Yeah.
There were people higher up the food chain that wanted that job, and I wanted it. And Tom will tell you, when somebody else is kind of eking out there ahead of you and you pass them at the last minute, it's a pretty good feeling.
It's pretty
Tom
good.
did that a lot on the football field, and in acting work. But it's that film. There were personal things about it. I had 3 small children, and the director, when I went into audition, had the idea that I had abandoned Red, and I saw it as a totally different approach. I thought I let him go because as soon as he made $2, I realized he was about to be supporting a family of 5 at 14 years old, 15 years old, and I didn't want him to do that. That was my responsibility. So my take on the character was that I released him to go and pursue a life.
Yes.
And and he said, I didn't see it that way, but you did, and that's what we're going to do. And so creatively, it was a big moment for me.
Right.
But also, there was something about the film. This was the first film after 9/11, I thought, that celebrated the resiliency of the American people. And almost to a screening, people would jump up and standing ovation for the film. I don't think it was just the film. That little horse had an indomitable spirit, and I think that's what that audience was identifying with.
Yeah.
We will be back.
Yes.
And so it was a powerful project for me to be involved in. My favorite character that I ever played was on a short-lived series for NBC called Council of Dads. Yes. And it's the least successful project I've ever worked in, the most satisfying group of people I've ever worked with, and the best character I've ever had, I thought. But it's funny how that works. I had hoped to ride that one into retirement, but NBC had other ideas.
So tell us a little bit about, you and I both worked with Alfre in different projects, and she introduced us that night, which was funny. Tell us about working with Alfre and how special she is, man.
Well, if there's a better actor / actress in the country, I don't know who it is.
I agree.
I think she's the gold standard of leading / character women. I look back over her work from time to time, Crooklyn and the stuff she did with Don Sales. You know, those early films of his, Lawrence Cat. I mean, Alfre. The thing about Alfre, it's not just that she is a really really talented actress. She's generous
Yeah.
to people. She's generous. There's a huge God spark in that woman, and she's so willing to share that. You know, that the laugh of hers for one is so contagious. I remember her laughing after we said, "I know him," and Alex was like, and we were at a birthday party in Santa Monica
Yeah.
for her husband Roderick's 40th birthday.
Right.
And it was loud and happy and fun. And she said, oh, you know how I get excited. Oh, I got somebody you got me. She ran me over to you. And before she could even say anything, we recognized one another.
I know.
How
I
How
always
special.
contended, oh, it was. It really was. And I always
Yeah.
contended, Tom, you and I were boyhood friends who met late.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what Alabama Boys, you know,
Yes.
in retrospect, played on.
You know, earlier I said no, you met very few people from Alabama, but I heard there was one. I worked on an episode of Cold Case, and of course I was from Birmingham. The woman who played my wife was from Alabama State. The guy who played our son was from Montgomery. So all of us were from Alabama.
Oh my.
Wow, you've never heard that.
Yeah.
I never heard that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that was a great one. I enjoyed.
I got to go back and look at that, Tom. I want to see that
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it was on the other night. Somebody called me. It was on, and they told me, "Oh, you on TV?" Blah blah. You know, and so I saw about 2 or 3 minutes of it. But yeah, that was interesting to have all of us being from Alabama.
Can I ask you a
rare.
question, Tom? Does stuff ever pop and you go, oh, wait a minute, I don't remember doing that. Do you ever see that?
You know
Wait a
what?
minute, did I
You
do
know
that
what?
show?
I've got I went on IMDb and I got copies of all my stuff. And so when stuff comes on, I can look it up right quick and say, oh yeah, now I remember that, you know.
I guess it's a good thing to be around so long that you can't remember some of the things.
Yeah. And some of it you do. I mean, I'll always remember NYPD Blue. That was just that was incredible. And
no, that's as good as filmmaking gets, right there.
Yeah,
that performance to me is like one of the great performances in the last, 30 years, 40 years.
That was great. So, anybody got any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. Michael, what type of character do you like playing? One that is flawed and one that is totally opposite from you, or one that is the audience is rooting for and really likes? Because you play with a lot of emotions depending on the character. So what's your favorite character?
Michael, you hit it right out of the gate. It's the flawed guy that's most interesting to me. Because it gives us some place to go. But also, that's what I loved about Council of Dads. That character was a recovering alcoholic that, had made a lot of mistakes in his life, but he was trying to do the right thing, trying to make contribution where he could. And also, they're all, it's always me. I'm not one of those actors that creates something that you don't recognize. I admire them greatly. I mean, I've seen actors that I thought their blood type changed when they took on a character. They were so different than the person that I knew. That's sort of never been my forte. But when they're flawed, it adds a wrinkle or an angle or a depth or an expansion that gives you a little room to play that is different than my life. And although I'm quite flawed in my life, if you don't believe me, just ask Mary. She can fill you in on some of it.
Oh, wow. What a
Did
joy.
that answer that, Mike? Yeah.
Yeah, you answered it perfectly, and I framed my question that way because I didn't want you to get the idea that I was saying that you were flawed. So that's why I asked it that way.
I wish it were more of a secret that I am, but it's not.
And Michael, I know you and your beautiful wife, Mary. Mary have 3 beautiful daughters. Did any of them catch the acting bug, or any of them in the business as well?
You know, they looked at me one day and somebody asked in front of me, they said, "Do you want to be an actor?" And they said, "No, no, no, we want a real job." And I'm like, wait a minute. I put food on the table. I paid for college education. You know,
Yes.
what are we talking about?
You mean a real job?
But no, none of them did. Although my oldest was the best actor in the house, far and away.
Wow.
You could suggest something to her and she'd become an entirely different. You know Ella, Tom. She's a character.
Yeah.
She's in nursing school right now, so she's taking on a whole new.
That's right. You told me that.
Yeah, she's in Chicago.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, wow. That's great.
But
was,
they're all
but
creative.
I enjoyed it. My favorite story about your girls is when you were coaching them basketball and you asked me to come be one of the coaches. I think we lasted for a game.
Oh my God. That was controlled mayhem, wasn't it? To give you an idea, we signed the girls up to go play, right? And Ella said, "I don't want to." And I said, "Well, you're signed up, honey. You're going to go." So she came and she was in high heel shoes.
Oh, wow.
She had on a basketball uniform and high heel. Well, you know, high heel for her is little.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're not wearing those. And she said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "No, you're not."
Sent a message.
And she's funny because she was convinced she was the best basketball player out there, but she had a shot like a brick. She hit that backboard and the whole gym would rattle. It's like,
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Yeah,
they're the true joy of my life, those 3. They're just, they've become good citizens. You know,
That's
they're mindful.
Good. That's wonderful.
Well, Michael, I'm looking at that artwork behind you, and I think that the saying back there really kind of makes me feel, yeah, hallelujah. You know, listening to your story about your girls and your family and your career, I think that's an appropriate piece of art. Hallelujah. I
Thank
really do. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot to be thankful for.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Michael, you got anything else for us this morning before we have to get out of here?
You know, just that I appreciate you letting me join you again. You know, it's always a joy to see you. I love listening to what you have going on and all the topics you discuss. So thank you for letting me sit in.
I'll share this with you. I am going to a movie premiere next Sunday in Montgomery.
What?
Your hometown. It's called Where Our Faith Is. Where is Our Faith? Tania Stewart, who used to be the Dean of Arts at Alabama State, is in it. She was also on Miss Evers' book. I mean, not Miss Evers, In the Heat of the Night. And so she's in it, she's running. So Sturfon, you know my friend Sturfon.
Your friend, yeah.
So we're gonna go next Sunday to the premiere. Hopefully it'll be fun.
Oh, it will be. You'll have a great time. They'll be happy to see you. You know that.
We'll have a great time. Anything else? Anything?
Great to have you, Michael. Enjoyed you this morning. You were just a joy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for coming to
Always.
visit with us. Thank you.
Michael, I
Thank you.
forwarded something from you from John Lux at Film Florida.
Uh-huh.
He wanted you to do something. I'll send it to you again.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, I just want to say this, Tom. You know, we you and I, when we were working on Alabama Boys, and somebody reached out to me recently. They had a really nice film script about Birmingham and about, and they wanted me to play a Klan member.
Yeah.
And it was really well written. And I said, I can't do it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You know, right out of the gate, I just can't do it. That's a long-standing promise that I made to somebody, and I'm not breaking it now.
Yeah.
But we touched on that anyway. Love to see you.
Okay, man. It's good to see you. I'll talk back to you.
Yeah,
We'll go from there.
please. Also,
All right.
will you give your lovely wife my best?
Same. She said to tell you hello, and same to Mary, and we'll talk soon. I think we'll see you in September.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Michael, I just want to say that I admire you for taking that stand and saying that you will not do it. And I understand that, and I appreciate it. And I didn't want it to go by without us acknowledging that. So it speaks of who you are as a person and your character.
It does.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do. You know, if you're from Alabama or you're from a Southerner, that road, you're going to get offered that road a lot in the course of your career. It's just that, you know, they're going to put you there if they can, and they don't need me there.
No.
They just don't. Thank you.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Thank you, sir.
Be well.
Yeah.
You too.
All the
All
best.
right. Thank you, brother. Talk to you, man. Let's see, Sean. Yeah, did we got a minute, Sean?
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute. It's Tuesday, and I hope you all are doing well and in good spirits. So let's get into it. Lately, I've been sitting with a decision, and if I'm honest, I don't have the answer yet. My natural instinct is to gather more information, weigh every possibility, and make the right choice. Sometimes that's strength. Other times, it's just fear wearing a really convincing disguise, for lack of better words. I'm learning that not every decision comes with certainty. Sometimes clarity doesn't show up before you move, it shows up because you moved. So instead of asking, what if I make the wrong decision? I'm trying to ask, what decision best aligns with the person I'm becoming? That question changes everything. Maybe you're facing that decision too. If so, remember this: every choice teaches you something. Even the ones that don't work out become part of your wisdom. You don't need perfect information to take the next faithful step. And sometimes just one step is enough. So that's it. That's your minute. I hope you all have a great day. And if you don't want to, then don't. You just don't go ruining anybody else's. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
Thank you, Sean. We kind of got a little out of order here today, and I want to say good morning to my good friend Pat Eddington over in Mobile. I see she's with us today, Mobile, Alabama. Pat, I hope you're doing well, and I hope we get to chat sometime soon. Let's see. So my closing comment was my Michael Jackson, Magic Johnson story, which I already did. So I'm probably going to just move along and to say that that's going to be our show for today. How about that? Thank the audience. We appreciate you. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thanks again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, Michael, and Joyce. And I don't stutter. I did say Barbara twice, but that was intentional. And as always, a special thanks to the audience. And that's it for this July 21st in the year 2026. A day without a smile is a day wasted. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Blessings.